Think about the internet you use every day. Websites, apps, games, videos, all of them are built on top of the same underlying foundation, the internet. Now, the interesting part here is if these companies really wanted to, they could become internet providers themselves. Hard, expensive, but still possible. Now, compare that with AI. Thousands of companies use AI models today, but unlike the internet, it's next to impossible for them to build their own foundation AI model. When we hear about AI today, we usually hear names like ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini, or Claude. All of these are LLMs. We use them to write, search, summarize, code, explain things, sometimes all in the same place. All these tools are not separate inventions, they are just built on top of something which is way more fundamental. Like at the beginning, the model, or you can say the language model, were very simple in comparison. They were text in, text out systems. You give the text, you get the text back. But over the time, things have changed. Now the model doesn't just only learn language; it even handles documents, coding, PDFs, Excel files, images, and even audios. The same core model began working across different formats and tasks. And like this, the language model slowly started to become bigger, a multi-modal system, or you can say a foundation model. Now, this foundation AI model is not just built for one task. It acts, or you can say, it becomes as a base layer for many applications which we use in our daily lives. Chatbots, search engines, virtual assistants, coding assistants, document readers, and all of them rely on the same underlying foundation. That's why it's called foundation. Now, before getting clarity on who can create a foundational AI model, we'll understand how to create it first. Uh, Imagine you teaching someone a language, not by giving them some certain rules, but by just letting them read millions of books, articles, conversations, code files, and even documents. And this is where the foundation of AI model begins. It is trained on huge amounts of general data from many other different sources, so it can see how language, logic, and meaning works across everything, not just one task. Now, the interesting part here is no one sits and teaches the model line by line. Instead, the model learns by guessing. It tries to predict the next word, fill the missing parts, or complete the whole patterns. Sometimes it's wrong, sometimes it's right, sometimes it's very close. But after repeating this process millions of times, it starts noticing patterns like its grammar, structure, reasoning, and the relationship between the ideas. Now, to handle this learning, the model requires a very large internal structure which is capable of remembering and even connecting information at scale. And this is what allows the same model to write text, understand questions, analyze documents, and even generate code. But this learning doesn't happen overnight. Training a foundational model takes a lot of time, massive computing power, and even continuous adjustments. And for a long period, this model isn't useful at all. It just learns how information works. And only after all this, it can become a base, a foundation model. It is told that MBA graduates are taught not to delegate or outsource any internal strategic activity which adds value or is essential to the company. That is right. But in the case of AI and LLM, the situation is kind of different. Uh, as of now, you should have understood that only few companies and organizations in the whole world have the ability to build their own foundation models. Why? Because creating these models are very costly and most of the companies don't have the resources to build it. Here, resources mainly mean time, money, and computing power. All three are tightly connected. Training a foundation model costs a lot of money before it even becomes useful. Like you imagine, no, for years the model is not generating any return at all. Take ChatGPT as an example. It is still not profitable today. A report suggests that OpenAI's ChatGPT will be profitable by the year 2029 and 2030, and it is fine from them. It has strong financial backing to absorb these losses. Then comes the second challenge, data. Now these foundation models don't just need data, they need licensed, large-scale and legally usable data. Data scrapping or using others' data without prior consent is not acceptable or not legal. In fact, companies like OpenAI have been facing lawsuits from authors and publishers, and now they are forced to pay every year until they continue to use their certain data sets. So here the data isn't just technical now, it is expensive and legally complex. You have to pay and be paying for it. This is why only large companies can do this. They might have their own massive amounts of data sources, like Gemini uses Google's data, OpenAI uses a part of Microsoft data, or they might have their own money to buy, license and maintain them over time. Now if we come to mid-sized companies, the risk can be a little different. If they even try to think to build a foundation model, right, they have to go all in, no backup, no option, nothing. If it fails, mostly it will, there's no second chance. So naturally it leads to one important question. If only and only the large companies can build foundation models, what does this mid-sized or even small-sized companies can even do? So by now, one thing is clear. Building a foundation model from scratch is not practical or possible for most companies. So that leaves with only one option. Instead of trying to create a foundation model, most companies in future will create their own models on these existing foundation models. Think of it like this. The company uses this foundation models through its API, application interface program, and connect with it. It avoids training massive models themselves, and even they're able to build their own products, features, and even workflow and even their company's workflow on top of these existing models. This makes it easy, time saving, and even affordable process. But it even has its own issues. First, it will definitely face the dependency issue on AI availability and development. Their own models cannot be upgraded or developed until the foundation model gets developed. It definitely can be modified, but the standard features cannot be changed. Second major issue is competition. Suppose if there are 10 companies which are in the similar industry and all are using the same foundation model with their same API, or you can say same features which are available in it. If then how will competitors compete with each other if they're all using the same API? So here comes the ability to adapt the foundational AI model to specific use cases, which will actually be a differentiating factor. The expertise present in their in-house companies will help in many ways to compete with its competitors through prompt engineering, fine-tuning, or RAG. So by now we get a clarity on why it is next to impossible to create a foundational AI model. Now the future isn't about everyone building the foundation models, it is about who can adapt them best. That is why roles like AI engineer, prompt engineer and AI developers are becoming so important. Not to build the foundation, but to build the intelligence on top of it.